Hello and welcome everybody to the official first episode of the Canas Podcast.
Yay!
Thank you for all of those who decided to listen to our pilot episode. I don't know about you, Celso. I had an absolute blast recording.
It was pretty
that.
fun.
It was such
pretty
a
fun.
good
I was
time.
really nervous at the beginning, but then I kind of found my way. But it was interesting. It was fun.
Let's just get into it. For all of you who don't know, I am a soccer fanatic, so you'll probably be listening about a lot of soccer stuff every week. So I apologize in advance, but I'm not really sorry. So this week was the start of the UEFA Champions League. And I'm thinking, oh, Victor, your UEFA's in Europe. Yeah, okay. We have some Canadians playing in there for the first time in what feels like ever. Prominent Canadians would be Alphonso Davies for Bayern Munich, Jonathan David playing for Lille, OSC.
Where is that?
It's in France, actually.
Ooh.
They, if I'm not mistaken, they actually won Ligue 1 last year. Like, they're a good team, man. They're a strong team. And they played a really good game against Wolfsburg. We got a couple gentlemen in Atiba Hutchinson and Kyle Larin playing for Besiktas. And then in the Europa League, we had our goalie, Milan Borjan.
Nice.
Play for his team. They ended up winning 2-1, which was good. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we'll start off with my absolute homie Alphonso Davies, Edmonton born and raised. Gotta love the guy. They had a very good game against Barca. They held Barcelona, who was supposed to be an absolute powerhouse in the football community. They held them to no shots on goal. 3-0 win. Oof. Huge for them. Like that's one of the better teams in that group. It is a pretty strong group that Alphonso Davies has to play with against Bayern, Benfica, Dinamo Kiev, and Barcelona. Those are the four teams in that group, so they're a pretty decent group in there. Alphonso Davies played the whole game, from my understanding, and crushed it, man. He played a really good. He didn't have any goals or any assists or anything, but as a left
just
back,
an all around good game.
Just an overall decent game, man.
Nice.
Overall, you don't get a ton of. You're not going to score 100 goals in a season if you're a defender. You know what I mean? A left back, he plays for the national team. He plays left wing, more of an offensive, create a chance. But for his club team, he plays left back. So he's so good at just going up and down and creating so many opportunities. So whether he has a direct assist or not, it's very common that he has a huge impact on the play, even in the national or in the club level with some very high end players. But yeah, it's huge, man. Alphonso Davies played the full 90, which was good. Very, very good performance. He's just coming off an injury as well. He injured himself against the States. He re-aggravated an injury that he had against, or when he played for Bayern as well. So it's just a few different injuries that the guy's dealing with. His ankle, so it's a little bit tougher to play through one of those. It's a ligament damage, from my understanding. It's not a torn or partial tear. It's just a little damage. So, which is okay because we ended up winning without him anyway, so that was fine. So yeah, that was Bayern. Bayern played an absolute heck of a game. I actually watched the majority of the Lille Wolfsburg game. Jonathan David scored a beauty of a goal, but he got disallowed because VAR came back and saw that the ball went out of the field. But so this is my thing, okay? First off, I love VAR. I love the fact that you can go back and humans make mistakes and big mistakes. Fix them. I'm thinking of the World Cup, England-Germany goal in the World Cup back in 2014. No, 2010. Do you remember the one where it's Lampard scores an absolute rocker of a goal, goes in by a foot, and it bounces back out, and the ref is no goal. Yeah. So those mistakes, I'm good to fix. But show your video that you're fixing, that you're overturning the rules on. Every video that I saw in that broadcast, not a single one was conclusive enough to take away the goal, and the whole entirety of the ball has to go over, and you have to be standing over top of the ball, and if the ball is still touching the line even the slightest bit, it's still in. Right? So that's the law of the game. And then
it's still out, not in.
So if the ball, it can be touching the outside of the line by a millimeter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that should still be in. Right?
Yeah, because it's mostly in the net. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So then anyways, like they called it away for it being out in the halfway, like leading up to the play. So that sucks. Jonathan Davis scored a really nice goal at that point. And Wolfsburg got a red card in the 62nd minute, and Lille was dominating the whole second half after that, but they couldn't muster it up, man. It was so frustrating. But Jonathan David played a really good game too. Like that's another thing too that you got, like looking at these lineups for our guys, like they're playing well and they're playing prominent roles on some big teams. Like Lille is not like a second tier team. Like they're in the top. They will be in the top 3 in the French league this year for sure. Like I don't think they're gonna win it just because PSG is like we're able to buy literally everybody imaginable. But Lille's a good team, man. They've got some like good veteran presence there. Jonathan David is the focal guy, so he's actually able to get a lot of experience at that point, which I'm super happy about. It's literally nothing but positives for the Canadian national program.
I was gonna say it'll just help our national team a lot with like all the experience that they're getting with their club teams.
Right, and then like, but at the end of the day too, it's like the more experience they get out there, you're absolutely right. It will be perfect for the national team. But like even the MLS, like there's nothing against the MLS.
No.
However, it's a very different beast. You know what I mean? Like it
definitely.
is a very different level of. It's a different level of soccer. We're gonna be honest here. Like European football is the highest level, really.
Yeah, that's why younger soccer players dream of playing in Europe because of all those big teams and like the competition there is like way different than like let's say MLS here in North America or any of the other like South American leagues but yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's different beast over
100%
across the.
And the fact that they're playing prominent
yeah.
roles too, it's like even Besiktas, like Atiba Hutchinson's the captain, so you know he's like a focal
He's the
point in there.
captain?
He's the captain, man.
That's
He
cool.
wears the armband every game he plays, which is absolutely incredible. And Milan Borjan is also the captain for his club team. But we're gonna get to him in a second because that's Europa League. But and then they did not win. let's just put it that way. They most certainly did not win. They lost 2-0 if I'm not mistaken. It was not a great showing. Let's just put it that way.
It was 2-1.
2-1?
Yeah.
Dortmund is a hell of a team though. Like let's not even
definitely.
kid ourselves. They're really, really solid lineup from top to bottom. They're just so strong. Hutchinson ended up getting subbed off. Same with Laren. They didn't play the full 90. But even then, like they still played decent. I definitely think that Laren is playing like second fiddle to their new arrival, Batshuayi or whatever you pronounce it. He came over from Chelsea, if I'm not mistaken. He's definitely playing second fiddle to him. Atiba Hutchinson's he's playing attacking mid kind of, but like he's more of a defensive-minded player. So I don't understand why they have him there. He hasn't scored in so long, man. But that's not his role, you know. I mean, you can't complain. Like they still played well. Besiktas was in over their heads against Dortmund. Like it's a tough group that they have too. Like their group is Ajax, Dortmund, Besiktas, and Sporting Lisbon, man. Like that's a good group. Like there's no like superstar team in there, but like there's 4 like really decent teams.
Yeah, like a good like group of just like similar levels and.
100%. And looking at other groups too. So like the other group that a Canadian is featured in is with Lille, right? And they have RB Salzburg, Sevilla, Lille, and Wolfsburg. Like I wouldn't say any of those teams is bad necessarily, but there's no like super strong team in that group. You know, like Lille should be able to make it out of there in first. Sevilla, in my opinion, would probably be their biggest competition. But honestly, looking at it, I do feel that obviously a little biased, but I do feel Jonathan David is probably one of the stronger forwards of those 4 teams.
Of the 4 teams, yeah. No, I agree.
He's just putting up so many good numbers, man. And his numbers for the national program are stupid too. Like he's just so strong. And then when the Champions League starts, we all know that the Europa League starts right after too. Yeah. So they played on Thursday, and Milan Borjan captained his team to a 2-1 win against Braga. Okay, I cannot pronounce Milan Borjan's team to save my life. I can't. It's like Crvena Zvezda.
What?
Zvezda? Crvena Zvezda? Sorry. I can't pronounce it to save my life. Anyways, Yeah, Europa League's still a good competition. I don't like. I do not think they'd win. They're in a decent group. Like they don't have that much of a tough competition really in their group. But like the thing with the Europa League is that the third place teams from the Champions League get moved into the Europa League after the Champions League is done with.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then there's sometimes some big names in there, and like even
Because
then,
I noticed like Lazio is in the Europa League, Leicester's in
Leicester City's
Leicester
in there,
City, sorry.
Monaco's in there, Real Sociedad, Lyon, Rangers. Like there's a lot of really solid teams in there. I mean, just the fact that they're playing European football right now, that's huge. That's good for the club too. Like they get more money revenue because of it and all that kind of stuff, and it's just going to grow and improve. The fact that we have two captains in Milan, Borjan, and Tiva Hutchinson playing for their national or for their club teams out in Europe is pretty huge as well. So personally, for me, there's a few different really really strong European leagues: Germany, France, Spain, England, Italy. Those five. I'd say those are the top five. And then apart from that, like Portugal's got a good group, and like the Swiss have good groups. Like there's like really a lot of like really talented squads out in Europe. The parity in the English league is pretty strong. Like the French, yeah, you got the top three really in Lille, Lyon, PSG. But PSG is just completely overpowered. Like and then Germany.
And then Germany is just Dortmund and Bayern.
But Bayern wins all the time. Right, Italy's a really good one actually because they have like three top teams that usually will compete between them. It's Milan, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and Juventus. So those three teams. But the Premier League, man, it's got a lot. So I personally, selfishly, I'd love to see one of the Canadians in like Alphonso Davies or Jonathan David or even Buchanan. Buchanan is one of them. One of the guys that is moving over from from his U.S. team to Europe. At the end of next year. Sorry, at the end of this season, my apologies. I'd really love to see some Canadians start to play in Europe, in England, really. I think it's just, that would be huge. That would be absolutely monster if they could actually start doing that. Yeah, and then all these guys also played domestically. Like Alphonso Davies played in a 7-0 win for Bayern this weekend. He got subbed off in the 46 minutes, so right in the beginning of the second half he got subbed off. I'm happy with it, because at that point they were already leading, and they probably just wanted to rest him up. I don't think it was an issue with injury or anything. They just wanted to give him a rest, let him heal properly, and the fact that they're playing him through a potential injury shows how important he is to that team, at least in my opinion.
Like, as long as you don't really, like aggravate your injury, as long as you can play through it, then that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, right? So that shows me that that's pretty crucial. And then Lille ended up losing 1-0 yesterday to Lens, unfortunately, so that's not great for them with respect to the French league. I mean, it's still super early on, but they are off to a really rocky start. Like, they're 1, 2, and 3 for a total of 5 points, good for 15th in the league. Like, that's just, they're not doing good right now. They will finish in the top 4 for sure, in my opinion. But their start is making it a little bit tougher for them to get even further up there. Because you have PSG, who's undefeated. Marseille, who's 4 wins and 1 draw, and that's it. Like, there's some good teams out in France right now. So Lille, I think, need to step up a little bit. And then, I'm going to be honest, I don't really watch much of the Turkish domestic league. It's really only Besiktas and then Galatasaray, from my understanding, that just play there, really. So it's really a 2-horse race out there. All right, going from one football to the other. I realized last week, we didn't talk about the NFL at all. Like, not even a little bit.
No, we did not.
So, I think you have our first ever player profile on one of the bigger Canadian stars in the league, right?
So we're going to talk about Chase Claypool, a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was born in Abbotsford, BC, so he's a BC boy, on July 7th, 1998. He was drafted 49th overall in the second round in 2020 by Pittsburgh. But, fun fact, he was also eligible for the 2020 CFL draft. He was basically like the ranked number 2 in the draft, but unfortunately went undrafted.
Why do you think he went undrafted?
I'm thinking he was probably more focused on getting into the NFL than the CFL.
That would make sense. Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
In college, though, he did play 4 years with Notre Dame from 2016 to 2019. Played 50 games, finishing with 166 receptions, 2,159 yards, and 19 touchdowns. So it's not bad for 4 years in college. This is his last season, though. He pretty much went off, just went crazy, having 66 receptions, 1,037 yards, and 13 touchdowns. So basically, most of his final stats in college were that final year for Notre Dame. In his rookie season for the Steelers, he finished with 62 receptions, 873 yards, and 9 TDs. That's pretty decent for a rookie. Was tied for first in TDs with Juju Smith-Schuster, second in yards behind Deontay Johnson, and third in receptions behind Johnson and Schuster. So, for a rookie behind those two great players, I'd say pretty decent for a rookie. So yeah, like I said before, he was undrafted in the CFL draft. So I kind of wanted to see what he would have been like if he was drafted in the CFL. Unfortunately, as you all may know, the CFL never had a 2020 season. So I'm just gonna kind of use the 2019 stats just as a marker for what he could have done if he were playing for the CFL. So in BC, he would have been second in yards and touchdowns behind Brian Burham, who was also a 7-year vet. So being a rookie with the numbers he had in Pittsburgh, could have been a decent BC player. In Calgary, he could have been third in yards and TDs behind Reggie Begelton and Eric Rogers, also veterans in the CFL. In Edmonton, he would have been third in yards behind Greg Ellingson, Ricky Collins Jr., and would have been first in TDs. So the Elks would have been really good with Claypool and on their team. Hamilton would have been third in yards behind Brandon Banks and Braylon Addison. Again, vets. So as a rookie, would have been a great addition to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. In Montreal, he would have been second behind Gino Lewis and first in TDs. So definitely would have helped the Alouettes and on their team. Ottawa, he would have been second in yards behind Dominic Rhymes, first in TDs. So again, would have been a pretty good addition to the Red Blacks. Saskatchewan, he would have been fourth in yards and first in TDs. So again, probably a decent help with the Rough Riders, but he probably would have been lost in the shuffle over there. Toronto, he would have been finished as well, fourth in yards, first in TDs, but again, with the Argonauts, with the team they had in 2019, would have been lost in the shuffle as well. And Winnipeg, he would have probably excelled tremendously because he would have finished first in yards and first in TDs. So for the Blue Bombers back in 2019, he would have just been their star receiver. But instead, decided to go to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has a really good player in their hands. Could definitely probably become their first wide receiver on their team in the coming years behind Schuster. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but I do think that Schuster is not as good as Claypool right now. So even looking back, I remember hearing a lot about Claypool early last year. I became a fan of Notre Dame because of him and because of Rudy. I mean, right? The Fighting Irish, Rudy. Come on, dude. Yeah. What an incredible movie. Anyways, but he tied an NFL rookie record for most touchdowns in the first 5 weeks of the season. Hey, do you remember that one? His 4 touchdown game that he had, and then he had 1 and 2 other touchdowns by the end of week 5, and then that's 6 touchdowns is what tied the record, which is pretty insane, man. The fact that a Canadian held
a pretty good record
and holds a current record, yeah, that's nuts, man. I'm pretty proud of that. And And it was interesting. You're bringing up a lot of the CFL stats, which is really cool because like the CFL does have like it is more of an offensive league
It's more of like
respect
a passing
to
league too.
yeah,
Right?
much more of a passing league. So the passing numbers is pretty cool, and the fact that he like is so high up there with a lot of those numbers already, just in a less passing league in the NFL, that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
But
like you would think with like the receiving troubles like that Ottawa, Montreal, and like Winnipeg has, they would have probably like drafted him, right?
I guess yeah, but I mean I think he's just too. Again, nothing against the CFL, but I do think he's a little just more talented to be in the CFL. It's more money in the NFL, more sponsorship opportunities, a bunch more stuff there in the NFL.
Definitely in the NFL.
And
yeah.
it's a more talented league right now. You think he'd be the best receiver in the CFL if he would go in?
On the right team, yes. I would say so.
Yeah, I mean he needs a quarterback. I think he's a good enough route runner. He'll only get better at running routes.
Oh yeah.
So I do think he'll just continue to improve on that point.
Yeah,
He's a really talented guy, man. I'm very impressed by him lately. I had no idea he was born in BC. I thought it was gonna be another Ontario kid because they're all made in Ontario.
He's a Western boy, which is good because we need more Western boys.
Yeah, and those Steelers they're a decent team, man. They won their first week against Buffalo, and that was a pretty big shock, honestly. I wanted to get Claypool in my fantasy leagues, but I couldn't get him. I couldn't take it to reach that far up. But I do think he'll be in the top 20 receivers this year, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Just because he's a touchdown machine, he'll get the touchdowns. He gets enough of those yards. He'll once he becomes the number one target in Pittsburgh, yeah, I think he'll get more yards, receiving yards. He's a quick dude. Once he gets better at his routes as well, like we were mentioning earlier, I do feel he can be a premier wide receiver in the league for sure.
He's gonna be exciting to watch, definitely in the future.
Yeah, he's electric.
Oh yeah,
absolutely electric. It's very very awesome to be able to look at an NFL player and know he's Canadian. All right, so moving on from the NFL to a playoff push by a Canadian team and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Ooh.
So I know we talked about them last week too, but I think we're going to keep on talking about them until the season's over. They're just a fun team to watch, honestly. And right now, this is like a super awkward time, right? Like right now, really, what's happening right now? Just the NFL and CFL, and then European football.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's about it. I mean,
and then NBA and NHL are going to start.
They're starting up soon, yeah.
But not now.
Yeah, I think
only like
the
baseball.
MLB postseason is a perfect time, man. There's really not much around it. That's just like gonna take views away from them, really. And it's pretty fun. Like, there's very few teams that make it. Like, what, in the NHL, half the league makes it.
Basically.
The NFL, I mean, just under. There's still a lot of teams that make it. The NBA, more than half the league makes it.
Yeah.
Like, the MLB, only the division winners and two wild cards that fight each other to represent as the one wild card team. So that's pretty cool. And Toronto right now is competing for that wild card spot. As of this very moment, they are tied for first place in the wild card standings.
Damn.
Tied with the Red Sox. Okay? And they're a game and a half up on the Yankees. Sorry, correction. The Red Sox are technically one game up on them, but they have played two more games and they've won both those games. So, like, we have the same amount of losses as the Red Sox, but we have two less wins. Okay? So, I mean, I guess the fate's in our hands. If we win the games we're supposed to, we're going to finish ahead of the Red Sox. I think because we have the tiebreaker, if I'm not mistaken. We have one more series against the Rays starting up tomorrow, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we have the Minnesota Twins, who are not a great team. And then we got the Yankees. If the Jays can beat the Yankees in that 3-game series, I think that's a nail in the coffin for the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if we can sweep them again, like, that would be absolutely incredible. And then they end the season against the Orioles. So we have 4 series left. In those 4 series, if the Jays, 12 games, if they can finish 8-4, I think that wins it.
Too, yeah.
I think that wins it. And I do think it's realistic because we're playing the O's and the Twins. And we just ended up playing the Twins, and we won the series 2-1. We lost the first game 7-3. But I don't know what it is about the Jays, man. Like, they just have a tendency of losing the first game of a series against lesser opponents and then coming back and winning them at the end, right? But, like, I don't understand why. Like, you look at the Baltimore series prior to that, We lost the first game, 6-3.
And then we just destroy it afterwards.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can't lose those games that you have.
Oh,
like,
no.
especially when you're big at playoff push, like you can't really lose those games. So, but then like this weekend was pretty impressive. They ended up winning the series against the Rays. They their bats finally cooled down in their one loss against the Rays. They got shut out, and then against the Twins, they had some decent runs. They lost 7-3 in the first game, won 6-2, and then won 5-3. Playing at Tampa Bay though, and at Minnesota, and then they end off with the two series at home. Fate's in our hands. Fate is in the Blue Jays' hands. They have the team that should be able to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Their offense is just electric. Like, unfreaking believable how strong that offense is. Just looking at every single one of them, it's... Yeah, I don't understand how good they are. And then, you and I were speaking earlier, the Jays, last week we spoke about like how, I don't know if we actually have a Canadian. We actually have a legitimate Canadian on that team. Like, not Vladdy Guerrero was born in Montreal, yes,
So
okay?
technically he is.
Technically he has a Canadian, yes,
he is.
technically. He says he's from the Dominican, okay, so like, but, Romano, dude. Jordan Romano, the closer.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I had no idea
I feel
either.
so terrible for not knowing, if we're going to be honest. But, like, and he's actually killing it. He got his 19th save of the season today. He wasn't supposed to be our closer. Our closer got injured at the beginning of the year. But, like, yeah, he's come up clutch. He's absolutely come up clutch. And the fact that he's probably... And for me, the closer is one of the most crucial / nerve-wracking positions in baseball. Because, like, the fate of the game is in your hands. And you usually don't go out there unless you have a 3-run or less lead.
You just
Usually.
need nerves of steel, man.
Nerves of steel. Oh yeah, I could not do that. I couldn't do it. I'd get. I don't know if I'd let the pressure get to me or something, but
I'd just rather start instead of close. I'd
Yeah.
rather be a starter than a closer, that's for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Because then the starters go, but then like our starters are pretty decent too. Like I feel pretty confident, and I think we're only gonna get better, man. I think we definitely need to re-sign Marcus Semien. I think that needs to be almost our biggest priority, really, because that guy was absolutely crucial for us. So, and then last thing I want to talk about the Jays. So, we're heading into the last leg of the season. MVP talks have been going like absolutely crazy. They always do from Toronto. If we're going to be completely honest, they all like. But I think all of Canada stands by Toronto in this one. But like, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has a legit chance. He is one of the two people who are going to be vying for that AL MVP. My personal opinion, Shohei Ohtani wins it, just because he's both a starter and a bat, and his home runs, he's second in home runs. He's high up there on a lot of the offensive categories. I think the fact that it hasn't been done the way he's doing it, the whole pitching and batting, I don't think Guerrero really has much of a chance. Even though recently they said that they're shutting down Shohei for the rest of the season as an arm. But it's exciting, man. We have a legit chance at another MVP coming out of the Blue Jays. Who was the last one? Donaldson, I think, right? Pretty sure Donaldson won the MVP
I think
last.
Donaldson was it.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And we got some good promising Canadian players, too, that are playing in the MLB this year. We have probably, in my opinion, one of our better players is the Atlanta Braves pitcher who tore his Achilles this year. Mike Sorokin, I think, the Calgary kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be a pretty good player. And then you have the classics, like Joey Votto's in there right now, and he's in the heat of a battle for the wild card spot over there, and it should be pretty good. Like, as of recording, they're 4th in the wild card spot, 3 games back. So it's going to be a little tough to catch up for sure. However, I do feel they should be able to at least fight for it, right? And Votto is... Yeah, he's one of the better players to ever...
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the better players. Hall of Fame, you think?
Close.
Yeah.
Probably
long
not,
enough here.
like, maybe Canadian.
Oh, definitely Canadian.
But
100%.
not, I don't think the...
I think he has the
offense.
best chance of becoming the 3rd Canadian in the Hall of Fame for the baseball. Because Larry Walker just got inducted. In his last year of eligibility, he just got inducted, which was pretty huge. He had some insane offensive numbers, but I think the fact that he played for Colorado completely hindered him. Well, seriously, though, because Colorado is such a hitter-friendly ballpark. And like they're high up in the altitude, right? So it's like the ball travels further and everything. And his home numbers and away numbers were were pretty different. So I think that's what was like. That's probably what writers were going against. It's exciting, man. So this week there's a lot of stuff to watch. So like I said earlier, the Blue Jays have their 2 series this week. There's no Champions League this week. It's starting again next week. But the NHL preseason starts. Training camps are opening up, and I think 2 weeks from now is the first preseason game.
Regular season game?
Preseason. Yeah, the preseason starts pretty quick. Like 5 days after the first training camp.
Right now.
Rookie camp
is right now.
Yeah.
Preseason starts
next week is, I think, Wednesday they report for their physicals. Thursday they report for the first training camp. So, yeah, the NHL will be starting up. We'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
NBA is going to start up soon
NBA is going to start up soon, too. You have the Toronto Raptors that we can be looking at as well. Early October, we're going to have the Canada qualifying for the Men's World Cup again. 3 big games that we'll be talking about. So there's a lot of stuff coming up in the next few weeks we're super excited about. Also, for you listeners, first off, thank you very much for listening to our shows the last few weeks. It's an interesting learning experience for the both of us. I think we can attest.
Oh, yeah.
But throughout the week, we're going to be trying to be releasing a few things. So this week, stay tuned to the channel. We're going to be predicting our Team Canada rosters. So one video will be for the forwards, and the other one will be for the defenders, or defensemen, and the goalies. Yeah, and then in next week's, Celso and I are going to do a NHL fantasy draft with only Canadian players. It's going to be pretty complex. Salary cap included, yes. But we'll figure out more of who we have to pick. But yeah, salary cap included. So super excited about that. So yeah, stay tuned to the channel. Thank you all very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. This week's our very first official episode, I guess. So we very much look forward to hearing from you guys. You can either email us in the description below or comment, and we're more than happy to hear some of your opinions, some of your feedback. What do you guys want to hear in the show next week? Just let us know.